The pre-alpha gameplay trailer for upcoming Soulsborne-inspired action RPG Black Myth Wukong was met with rapturous acclaim when first revealed in August 2020. Within 24 hours, the video racked up over 2 million views on YouTube, with more than 10 million viewers on Chinese streaming service Bilibili excited by the prospect of a prestige take on the Dark Souls formula laced with East Asian aesthetic and traditional Chinese mythology. And prestige is the key word here. China's video game market is saturated by free-to-play mobile games with monetization and microtransactions commonplace. Black Myth Wukong, in distinguishing itself as a narrative-focused single-player game, is pretty uncommon, and thus a risky project for newly minted Hangzhou-based studio Game Science. So if this is the first you're hearing of it, what is there to know about Black Myth Wukong? Well, you'll play as mythical monkey king Sun Wukong, a figure best known as a protector of monk Tan Xuanzang on their pilgrimage through Central Asia and the Indian subcontinent as told in 16th century Chinese literary classic Journey to the West. Sun Wukong is characterized by their imperial strength. They're a skillful fighter with lightning-fast reflexes, and they have a magical ability to transform into 72 animals and objects. Gameplay-wise, these traits present many an exciting prospect. Indeed, we've seen in the 2 gameplay trailers released so far that Sun Wukong fights with speed and power, with their transformative abilities presenting intriguing fight or flight choices for the player. Would you fight a band of opponents, or transform into a cicada to fly over them? The narrative arc of the original novel brims with suffering and hardship, perfect ingredients with which to test Sun Wukong's might as a fighter. Game Science are saying their version of the tale will explore darker themes too, in contrast to the novel's lighter, more satirical adventure. Of the 2 gameplay trailers, the most recent from August 2021 sees Sun Wukong venturing mountainside through environments covered in deep, powdery snow. Now, the effect of the player and NPC enemies on the surface of the snow is simply spellbinding. It appears to react perfectly in line with character momentum, with footsteps dispersing snow outward, or trails left in the wake of Sun Wukong's staff swings. This whole scene together with the crystalline sunlight, seeping straight through wafer-thin mist, is beautifully created and visually arresting. Game Science switched development of Black Myth Wukong from Unreal Engine 4 to Unreal Engine 5 in 2020, and we're clearly seeing the benefit of the more powerful engine. The snow-filled scenes, tactile textures, and naturalistic light are almost certainly attributed to UE5's Nanite and Lumen systems. Now, many people are wary of Unreal Engine 5 tech demos, and that's a fair stance as they're oftentimes scripted rather than recorded in real time. Well, it's fantastic that Game Science, together with the Chinese branch of a well-known video game publication, have confirmed all the footage we see in Black Myth Wukong's gameplay trailer is recorded in real time, at 4K, 60 frames per second. Furthermore, Black Myth Wukong is the first game developed in Unreal Engine 5 to be supported by NVIDIA's groundbreaking AI rendering DLSS technology. And for the uninitiated, DLSS, or Deep Learning Supersampling, is fancy technology promising crisp graphics at ultra-high resolutions, complete with ray tracing, extraordinary depth of field, all with smooth performance and Dolby Atmos capability, which in itself is a revolutionary spatial audio technology. Smooth, consistent frame rates are of the utmost importance for games that are so combat-focused. And from what we can see in Black Myth Wukong's gameplay, the combat in this game will be deep and nuanced. There appears to be a strength gauge that depletes with every attack, whilst conversely there's a special meter that fills with every successful dodge, block, and parry. Filling this special meter releases tokens, with up to 3 being earned for increasingly powerful special moves. In the second half of the August 2021 trailer, we see Sun Wukong engaging in fierce battle with a white, flying dragon, and we can see firsthand the special moves that you'll have at your disposal. There's a rapid staff attack which deals substantial damage to the dragon when it's stunned out of the air. Most intriguing, though, is the staff's ability to change size to elongate for distance attack or an off-ground platform for defense. This mechanic takes influence from the book, of course. When once gifted to Sun Wukong, they become the master of the gold-banded staff, with the ability to change its form at will. Also important to Sun Wukong successfully guarding traveling monk Tan Xuanzang is their ability to cast spells that'll protect the pilgrim. We see this magic ability at play in the trailer, with the most notable being Sun Wukong encircling themselves in a fire-laden ring, appearing to make them impervious to attack in the process. The trailer demonstrates this as opportunity to take onboard health during boss battles. But it's possible this defense tactic could be used when the player is overwhelmed with opponents, or when recharging the strength gauge is vital. So with a raft of attacks and magic, plus the need to manage and conserve energy, then there's lots to learn and master for the player. With an experience Game Science are touting as featuring over 100 enemy types, it's entirely plausible every facet of attack and defense will need to be mastered. And if over 100 enemy types is indeed ambitious, which, by the way, their design and variety plucked out of Chinese mythology all look fantastic, then Game Science are saying that Wukong is the first of 3 planned Black Myth games. Perhaps the central character of 3 protectors in Journey to the West, of which Sun Wukong is the first, will each get a game as a central protagonist. Game Science have made clear their intention is for an entire universe to be created off the back of the first game. At this stage, we're not talking the scale of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but with Game Science ambition being matched by their growing size of the Chinese video game market, which as of May 2022 has a reported 666 million players amassing an annual spend of over $43 billion, then it can't be ruled out. With the rise in average consumer spending encouraging more investments in Chinese video game development, and thus games which are breaking away from the dominance of free-to-play mobile gaming, then Game Science are perfectly placed to capitalize on the emergence of Eastern video games on global audiences. And that's the other thing that Chinese studios are finding their way through. That is, crafting experiences that are intrinsically Eastern in aesthetic, but delivered in a way which is palatable to global audiences without resorting to pastiche. The runaway success of Chinese-developed Genshin Impact, for instance, itself an action RPG built for mobile as well as consoles, is paving the way for the future. Its monetization tactics in the form of gacha game mechanics might be more acceptable in the East than the West, but this hasn't hindered its global financial success. At present, there's no mention of Black Myth Wukong having a mobile free-to-play element. Its roadmap cites release to PC and console in 2023 only. But, given their ambition for an entire Black Myth universe, Game Science might just have the clout to saturate whatever market they fancy. Did you know? We at GamingBolt upload new videos every day. Stick around, drop a like, subscribe, and let us know what kind of content you'd like to see in the future with a comment below.